Hey guys, and welcome to my new movie review for episode 3, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. Just like the first two films, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, this movie was directed and written again by George Lucas. The returning cast is Hayden Christensen back again as Anakin Skywalker, Natalie Portman reprising her role as Padme, Ewan McGregor reprising his role as Obi-Wan Kenobi, Samuel Jackson reprising his role as Mace Windu, Ian McDiarmid as Supreme Chancellor, and Frank Oz reprising his role also as Yoda, Anthony Daniels reprising his role as a very gold shiny this time, C-3PO, and there is a lot more. Oh my gosh, there is a lot more cast in this movie. So first of all, I need to say I'm actually so glad, yay, that Obi-Wan Kenobi in this film has a real beard, straight off the bat. Yay. I have to admit, it was a really big difference, and in my personal opinion, a very noticeable difference from Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor having a beard from the first movie to this movie. That was very obvious. Wow. Man, I absolutely loved the opening sequence of this movie. That space battle was incredible. I really like that it went straight into that from the previous movie, because of the fact that the previous movie, it didn't leave on a cliffhanger, but going into this movie as it did was just such a good level. And as again, once again, from the last movie, their chemistry, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, their character again develops even further and further into this movie. But seeing the visual effects in this movie, seeing it played out the way it did in the space battle that it was, oh, far out, you guys. It's just so fun. Like, it was just like, the level of excitement, it almost grew the start of this movie. It was just so incredibly well executed. Once again, guys, the line, "I have a bad feeling about this," is spoken right at the start of this movie. And I tell you, as I said, guys, that line is in every single one of the movies, but in this one, it's really, it's like kind of in your face. I tell you now, who says it and how he says it is really good in this film. It's amazing. One thing that I actually found in this movie, guys, that really separated the beginning of this movie from the first two movies was the humor. I actually felt there was a lot more humor in this movie in comparison to the first two movies, especially from the droids, surprisingly. But I really enjoyed where they went with that. Obviously, the movie isn't funny, but the starting elements of this movie is really good in that element. It's I loved that they didn't start it off deep, dark, and gritty. They started off with light humor, and it really worked, especially for where the film goes. So, a droid in this movie that I was kind of surprised at rewatching this, guys, is R2-D2 actually has a much bigger role in this movie. I was genuinely surprised. And is it better role this time? Yeah, it really is. It really is more elaborated on, and he has a lot more to do with the functionality of the movie. Those of you who haven't seen this movie, when you do see this movie, after watching my movie review, because you'll love my review so much, you'll notice exactly what I'm talking about. R2-D2, C-3PO, their functionality roles in this movie really increases the Star Wars cinematic universe. It is really vital to the storyline of the rest of the movies. Okay, so if you haven't heard of this, then go and check it out. I'll leave it in the description of this clip below, okay? The Wilhelm scream. You're like, wait, what are you I'm talking about. Trust me, it's actually used at the beginning of this movie. An explosion happens and somebody goes flying and the Wilhelm scream is used. It is I heard it so clear in this movie. So incredibly clear in this movie. I was like, ah, that's cool. That is really cool. If you don't know what I'm talking about, guys, jump down in the description. I've left a YouTube video in the description of this movie review for you to go check it out. All the movies that have used this scream, it's really clever. Something that I found in this movie, guys, that I was very surprised at, quite charmingly surprised at, was Hayden Christensen's physique. He was in impeccable physique for this movie. I was so genuinely surprised to see him. He wakes up from a sequence. I won't tell you what happens, but he wakes up from a sequence and the sheet falls down and his pectorals are showing. And I was like, whoa, wow, yeah, okay, you're in great shape. And then obviously he gets out of bed and you can see his abdominal muscles. Like, oh man, he did really well to get in the shape that he is for this role. Absolutely incredible. Another thing, speaking of Hayden Christensen, I really was surprised in this movie. He actually grew his hair out longer in comparison to the last movie, and specifically how Anakin Skywalker was in the first movie. This movie, he's obviously grown up a lot, but he's actually grown his hair out a lot more, which I was a little bit, and same as Obi-Wan Kenobi, I was kind of a little bit surprised at that, to see kind of where they were in the development of their characters. But that specific thing, I was like, oh wow, look at that. They're not really short, like a full-on just a blade over. They're actually developing them to give their facial features a lot more style in this movie, specifically Hayden Christensen's character. Speaking of character development, one specific character in this movie that I really loved, and obviously he's throughout the entire saga, was Yoda. I loved how wise Yoda was in this movie. I just really appreciated what he had to, every part of his dialogues, you know, which is Frank Oz, but every part of his dialogues, but just, it was all so relevant to what was happening in the scene. And specifically this movie, I don't know what it was. Maybe he had more dialogue. It felt like he had a bit more dialogue, but it really seemed just so much more grounded. Like I don't know really the word specifically, but I just genuinely liked Yoda a lot more in this third film. He was feeling the feelings that you would feel being as powerful as he is in Star Wars. 46 minutes into this movie, guys, you actually see an absolutely incredible, very slow, but a very incredible character transformation. No spoilers for those of you who haven't seen Star Wars, no spoilers, but I will say the character transformation was really obvious, and I really liked it. It was so subtle. It was just slowly happening. The turn was slowly happening, but I picked up on it, and I valued it so much. I could see it. It wasn't like, when's it going to happen? It was real obvious, and George Lucas in the script did really well with that, especially with Hayden Christensen. So this movie actually introduces Chewbacca. Yay! Now, later on in the trivia, I'm actually going to talk a little bit about something to do with Chewbacca and Han Solo, but I'll leave that to the trivia. You've got to keep watching this movie review to find out what that is. But the way he's introduced in this movie specifically, I really liked it. I really did. It's very simple. It's not over the top. But as you can see, if you haven't seen the Star Wars movies, you'll find out when you do see them that progressing on, his character is a really vital character in the rest of the saga. And in this movie, he's not big. It's not a big role at all in any way, shape or form, but it's really vital to the storyline now that he's in it, which is awesome. Something that I found with Hayden Christensen and the CGI elements of this movie was actually Hayden Christensen wearing a black leather glove. If you've seen the movie, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Those of you who haven't seen the movie, when you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's elements of this movie where Hayden Christensen, they've just gone, nah, let's just pull the CGI budget back on his hand and chuck a glove on him. There you go. We've saved a lot of money on those sort of scenes. Yes, it worked purely because of what he was wearing. It was really, really well executed in that element. Just before I go on, guys, I just want to tell you that this movie, again, just as the last two movies, doesn't have the key word of all key words to do with film, to do with movies. The powerful movie of all movies that should have rewatchability. This has so much rewatchability, guys. I kid you not. Rewatching this just to do this movie review for you amazing people out there, all my subscribers and viewers of this, I cannot tell you how much it made me think, man, I'm glad I rewatched this, because I wasn't going to, because there was just too over CGI when I first saw it and stuff like that. But I'm so glad I did, because it just gave me a real fresh perspective on so much of what was going on in this world of Star Wars. It's just brilliant. Anyway, guys, this is a bit of a funny one. But General Grievous, that scene, when you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. And for those of you who have seen it, the lightsaber scene with General Grievous, I honestly didn't think that a character with such intense emphysema could fight so well. In fact, I can actually understand why people would be annoyed at his character and what they do with his character, because when you hear it and you see it, you'll be like, wait, what? How is that possible? Why would he have that? But it works. It works really well because of the side that he's on in this movie. And General Grievous is actually a new character to the Star Wars saga in this film. And will you see him in the next one? Or what happens to him in this one? No spoilers. Anyway, one of the things that I loved about this movie, and I thought it was so brilliant, it was almost as good as, I can't remember which one it is, but one of the Lord of the Rings movies, but the face transformation scene. When you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. A character in this movie goes from being a certain age to really, really old. Really old, really ugly, and just the transformation. It's in a way, how they do it, like what they do it with the special effects, kind of helps them in that element of changing that character, really. But in saying that, how it is done, and then what he becomes after that, I ate it up. I ate it up every second. I really valued it. This is something that I loved in this movie, guys, is there's a turning point in character development in this movie. And I really, really liked it because it was so subtle, but not subtle at the same time. It was very, very clear. And I really, really liked just how they were really making this certain specific character, building this character up for the audience to understand this guy's going somewhere. This character is really, really going somewhere, and where he obviously turns out, I will not give it away, but you'll love it. Okay guys, so I'm going to talk about Yoda for a second here. He really, really emotionally feels the change, the shift in the Force in this movie, specifically from a certain character. I loved how they made it look like he was being affected by what was going on in the scene. Oh man, it was just so simple, but his expressions of how it was happening was so good. In fact, just rewatching this, I just thought to myself, The second movie and the third movie seem so seamless. I mean, they really, really do. Just rewatching them, it feels like one ginormous movie, and it kind of wouldn't surprise me if that's how they filmed them, because that's how it felt. The scene that I'll call the Volcano Red Planet scene was brilliant. That was so groundbreaking, visually spectacular. Honestly, I like that they gave a glimpse at it, and then it's like, okay, now we're really going to give it to you. And then, I'm not going to give anything away, guys, but let's just say George Lucas really gave the fans what they wanted. And that specific sequence scene, oh man alive, wow. So brilliantly executed, and the level of intensity in that part of it was so good. I really like the evilness of where the depth of certain characters and this episode really, really go to. I love that when you're watching this film, it just, the depth of where they are, the depth of how full on, they're really trying to get the audience to really get a grip of how full on these characters are. I love where they take that. I really, really took a lot of value personally in seeing how intense, how just full on dark side these characters go. Guys, the last 32 minutes of this movie is what I would call, at the, being into episode 3, is pure Star Wars gold. I really, really mean that. Just literally, man alive. It was just so incredibly, yeah, it was awesome. It was epic. It was like thunderous applause. Like, yeah, this is seriously happening. It was amazing. Something of this film that blew my mind was when, I think it was the last 22 minutes of this film, where Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi are having a conversation. Oh, man alive. It was just so powerful to see where their relationship was going, what was happening, the intensity, it was just, you could just tell that the director, specifically in this moment, and what was happening around them, was just exploding in Star Wars fun. And the part that comes after that scene is just wow. I mean, man, I don't want to spoil anything, but those of you who have seen what I've seen now, or several times, man, guys, come on. Seriously, just incredible. Oh my gosh, just, I don't want to spoil anything, but the graphics, what they use, the makeup and everything is just brilliant. Oh my goodness. One thing that's kind of funny about this film, guys, that I found really, really interesting, and I was listening to it really intently, was actually James Earl Jones' voice was actually used in this movie, although it was unfortunately uncredited as in this movie, but it was definitely him. I loved that because it keeps the continuity of the entire saga. Oh my God, I literally cannot tell you guys how much that makes me happy when they do that to a character. It is so fulfilling to fans when continuity is kept like that. It just works so well. At the 2 hours and 11-minute mark of this film, guys, I'm not going to give it away, no spoilers, but what I am going to say is I love what they're looking at because it is a perfect, incredibly brilliant, it just ties in perfectly to the next movie. Man alive. It is, oh, just what that little scene, it was so quick, and I was like, yeah, that's awesome. So those of you obviously who haven't figured it out yet, I've obviously, because of the opening of my movie reviews, I've put I've put it in the start of it. I have actually been watching every one of these Star Wars movies on Disney Plus. And the coolest thing about that is right at the end of this movie, Revenge of the Sith, Episode 3 Star Wars, I know I said that the wrong way around, that doesn't matter, is actually the next movie that it actually shows for you to play is, yeah, that's right, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Yeah, that's clever. I really thought that whoever created the app, that's smart, because Rogue One is actually next in line in the saga story. You guys know what time it is. For anyone who's been following me for any period of time, you guys know that I love giving you guys movie trivia, because I just love movie trivia. So guess what time it is? Trivia time! A 10-year-old Han Solo was actually going to appear in the Battle of Kashyyyk as an orphan being raised by Chewbacca. He would have helped locate General Grievous by finding a part of a transmitter droid that was located on another planet, allowing Obi-Wan Kenobi to find and confront the villain. Solo's young years were actually covered in the movie Solo, A Star Wars Story. Now guys, I don't know, I'm just letting you know now that I don't know if I'm going to cover Star Wars, A Solo Story, because I personally, this is just my personal opinion, I really didn't like that movie. I just really didn't like it. So if I do, you're welcome, but don't be surprised if I don't. Next piece of trivia, guys. The original cut of this movie actually ran 4 hours. The opening Battle of Palpatine actually ran over an hour. The extra scene of the rest of the battle is actually shown in the video game version of this movie, however. Next piece of trivia, my friends. Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen actually trained together for 2 months prior to the filming of this movie to get into the impeccable shape in fencing for this movie. As a result of their practice, the speed at which Obi-Wan Kenobi and Vader actually duel in the completed movie in which it was filmed and not digitally accelerated. That's cool. The next piece of trivia, guys. So, the images of the volcano erupting from Mustafar is real. Footage of Mount Etna in Italy was actually erupting while this film was in production. Next piece of trivia, guys. The Wookiee costume in this film sported a new arterial system that actually pumped cold water to help cool down the actor wearing the suit. Last piece of trivia, guys, and I'll leave you with this. Apart from providing the voice of R2-D2 and the heavy breathing of Darth Vader, which he has done since Star Wars 1977, Ben Burtt provided the voices of every battle droid, Super Battle Droid and Buzz Droid. So there you go, guys. You are so welcome. Thank you so much for sticking in here and watching this movie review. I am so happy. If you're wondering where I've been for all this time, this is what I've been doing, guys. I've been working on these incredible reviews for you, and at length, because why? They are so incredibly worth it. For those of you who have subscribed to my movie reviews, I value your subscription so much. Thank you. Thank you. For those of you who haven't subscribed, go ahead and click that bell for go ahead and click the subscribe button, and don't forget to click the bell for notifications. That way when I drop anything, it'll be yours straight away on your device, and watch it whenever you want. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Don't forget to leave a like on this movie review, guys. That way I know you're appreciating my content, and I really value that. I really do, guys. Thank you so much. Have you seen Star Wars Revenge of the Sith? If you have, what did you think about it? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me your thoughts on this movie. I'd really appreciate your feedback. You guys are incredibly wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for that. And until my next movie review, which you know what that's going to be, Star Wars A New Hope. Yes, don't forget that's coming. That actually drops tomorrow, okay? So keep your eyes peeled for that, because that's coming right your way, guys. I'm not dropping it till tomorrow, because what I'm doing is I'm dropping it every Star Wars movie, all 9 Star Wars movies, right up until Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. Oh my gosh, I'm so ready for that. I'm so ready. Once again, guys, I really value your time. Thank you for being here. I really value it. And until my next review, don't forget who's bringing this movie review to you guys. This is Superman Steve, guys. Flying out!